Welcome to Tanked Up, the podcast all about craft beer and video games. I'm Adil, and I'm joined this week by Lucy.
Hello, host.
Hello, host, yeah. It's all weird because unfortunately Ben has been feeling under the weather, which is why we are recording on this non-standard date and time, but also Benless. He's look, no Ben beneath me, right there.
We
It's
will miss
sad.
Ben. Poor baby Ben. He'll
Yeah,
be better. I'm sure he'll be back next week.
he better be.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's it. I'm gonna take over, and the mild rails this podcast have will forever be a Wade. A Wade gotten rid of. Good start. Cool. Let's start with some beers. Lucy, what do you got?
I'm gonna start with a beer from Brew by Numbers.
Oh, excellent.
This is their number 5, which is an India Pale Ale, Juicy New England. So, New England IPA. 5.5%. Okay, this one was brewed exclusively for Marks and Spencer because that's where it's from, and it was quite cheap. I think it was like £1.80 around there. So I don't think I've had this one before. M&S stock another Brew by Numbers bit. I can't remember what the exact number is, but that's the one I usually see. So don't think I've had this. I shall read the flavor text. This juicy New England IPA is packed with vibrant American hops on top of a soft and smooth base, pouring with a bright and naturally hazy glow. It always makes me laugh when it's like beers in like supermarkets and they say it's a natural haze, just so that people aren't like, oh my god, what is going on with this beer when they inevitably pour it. So, because you must have so many people going back to the supermarket and saying, my beer is off. It's cloudy.
Right.
It's haze. So yeah, it always makes me laugh when I see it, but understandably so. Anyway, this beer unveils an aroma of tropical fruits and flavors of ripe peach and zesty orange. The result is refreshing, full-bodied, and balanced. Modern pale ale. Says that there's it's got a little chart. 5 out of 5 for hops. 3 out of 5 for bitterness. Haziness is 4 out of 5. Juiciness is 5 out of 5.
Nice.
Yeah.
Looks like it's right up your juicy loose alley.
Yeah.
What do I got? What
are you drinking?
Yeah. I've got a Northern Monk Patrons Project.
Okay.
Which is with Maui? It's the My Mao Mickey Pop. Where I'm looking for. Yeah. So I'm assuming Lamau is the name of the brewery? Question mark.
How do you spell it? Let me research it.
Leimai space LEMAOW / Mickey Pop.
Lamau.
Yeah. And it's the Mickey Pop. I assume the Mickey Pop, given like if you look, it's like a Mickey Mouse hand and a pop, right?
They're the artist. Artist and designer from Liverpool, living in Manchester and painting worldwide.
Gotcha. So this is a cherry cola sour IPA.
Cherry cola. Ooh.
Yeah, it's a roll of the dice for me.
Not a fan of cherry cola.
Oh yeah, so it's a cherry cola sour IPA, 4.5%. It's mosaic and sweet and sour cherry, and I think I got this from somewhere where it was like, this is a Northern Monk Patriots project that's on sale from one of my beer mail orders, and I was like, on sale, go for it. And then I was like, oh, cherry cola sour. Well, I like sours. Let's see. Cola sour is a thing I've not really done. So let's see. So while I pour this, have you had a chance to taste yours?
Not taste, but I've poured it. It's a good looking beer. It's definitely got that natural haze. It's not completely opaque. Towards the bottom of the glass, it's a little bit less hazy, but yeah, it poured with like a massive, like 2-3 finger head, and it's it's staying there. It's not really going anywhere. Smell wise, yeah, it smells nice. It smells a bit orangey, bit citrus. You're definitely smelling the hops on there. So it smells a bit like Solero.
Hmm.
Don't know if you're familiar. I don't know if it's a brand outside of the UK. But...
It is. It's not as big.
Okay.
Like I didn't grow up with it, but I
Hmm.
definitely have seen them. And of course, since
Okay.
I've lived
Yeah.
here,
It's got that
definitely.
like kind of ice creamy, orangey, ice creamy
Yeah, we had
smell.
creamsicles, which I think are like
Mm.
super low rent Solaris.
Poor man's Solero.
Yeah.
This isn't bad. It's got that fruitiness in there. It is juicy. Let me go for another sip. That's good. Yeah. I'd say the finish is a bit underwhelming. It's like a slightly watery finish.
Hmm.
It doesn't really have that bitterness that would be nice, or even just like a second wave of that fruitiness. You're getting a lot of fruitiness at the start, but yeah, it sort of tapers off towards the end and has a slightly watery finish. But it's a decent beer, especially for like £1.79. You can get a lot worse for that much money.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because the other day had some beers from Aldi, and
Hmm.
they're like craft beer selection. Um, those were not great, and those were pretty much the same price. But yeah, this is good from Brew by Numbers. Yeah, definitely, it's quaffable, it's juicy, it's easy to drink. You are getting quite a lot of hoppiness. You are getting like that effervescence as well. And they said it was very hoppy on the can, so yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I wouldn't say impressed. I'm just happy. I'm happy this is a good beer because it could have gone the other way. So yeah,
Right.
it's decent. Hmm.
I mean, that's pretty.
Although,
I mean, yeah, for the price and like you said, the type of market that's competing in, that sounds quite good because
yeah,
yeah, like
because
you were
it's like
saying, it, there's a huge quality difference in that area, and the median tends to be not right.
yeah, this is definitely above the average, and I think it's a really pleasant beer. I'd happily, just drink these alongside. If I'm looking for something cheaper, just drink these alongside. My Northern Monk, Patrons Project beers and all this stuff. But yeah, I think it's really good. I think I was gonna say you could, like just bring a 4 pack of these. I think it's a bit heavy, so it's not quite session. It's 5.5%, so a little bit over session strength, but I think it's got enough body where it's like maybe can't knock 4 of these back quite
Right.
easily. But if you're going somewhere over an extended period of time, good beer to bring with you.
Yeah, sounds like it. Cool. Uh,
And is this like the first time they've actually used like blue numbers?
I was gonna ask,
I don't know.
because I that didn't look recognizable to me.
Hmm. Yeah, I've only
Um,
seen it when it's like the cream colored or the silver or gold. I haven't
yeah, and
seen
like the
blue,
one I
so
got had a few weeks back, which was brewed for Beer 52. Like it feels like they've found a good vector of like we can do some scale up stuff and have that as our reach rather than
yeah.
like they're still hard to find sort of in Bristol bottle shops.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm wondering if that's sort of their way of doing reach. Um, or if it's just the bottle shops I've been to just don't carry them. It's hard to tell. Um,
Yeah,
but
because
yeah,
well, back when I was going to bottle shops, it'd always be a good selection of them. So who knows? Maybe they hate Bristol. Maybe they're just jealous of Bristol, like me, and everywhere else in the country.
quite possibly, yeah. Um, I've got this poured very pink cherry cola.
Oh,
It
oh no.
kind of looks cola colored, but if you can see in the light, it is quite pink. It looks a little
Yeah,
more
yeah.
purpley just because of my lighting
Looks a
setup,
bit
which is
beetroot from here, yeah.
oddly
Oh,
bright
nice.
today. Probably because I had
Well, we're
to.
doing it at 6 o'clock as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Um, so it's actually quite light on the nose. There is a bit of that rootishness of cola on there, coupled with
Okay.
a bit of sour cherry, but it's really light. There's also almost like there's like no lacing to be had because there's almost no head. Hmm.
Mm,
Finish is quite wet, like you were saying yours does. This is four
okay.
point five percent. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's quite low.
Hmm. I think that's because they're going for that cola taste and texture
Mm,
because it's not very viscous either. It's quite wet all the way through. It definitely has some cherry notes, some sort of cherry tartness, sour cherry, I guess. But
okay.
it's there. It's not that strong, which is nice because it's not taking away.
Does it taste like a beer?
No, I mean I was trying to figure out.
That's what I want to know.
So where I'm struggling with does it taste like a beer is there is
Mhm.
like a bit of a malty, low key malty backbone to this, but it's really light and
Okay.
like in sense, and it's not doing a lot. It's not
Mm,
like it's being the foundation that the other tastes are sitting on. It feels more like it's because it's a beer. The
yeah,
maltiness is
yeah.
kind of coming through, and it's really trying. Like I said, that note I had on the nose of that slightly brutish cola, like colaness,
Mm,
is there. It has a bit of sweetness, that sour cherry, but and it's just fizzy enough to feel like a flat pop. It's not
not great.
very carbonated. Maybe I think this is in one of their older ones. When was the BB? Best before 30621, so it should be good for another month, but we're on that last
Oh,
month of shelf life. But I mean, this is just not carbonated, really.
mm.
Um,
Well, I think that's the dangerous territory that you slide into if you're making a beer like that and it's not. If you're trying to evoke like cherry cola, then maybe it wants a flat cherry
well,
cola.
I mean, that's sort of why I was grimacing because I was like, this
Yeah.
does taste like cherry cola, but what's missing? Oh, the thing that beer does really well
Mm.
in the cola properties mapping, bubbles is the thing you get for free. um,
Yeah.
it's it's not bad. It's just it's not. There's not quite enough cola. There's no beer in it. Like I said, there
Mm.
is this like low key maltiness, but it doesn't feel like it's doing a lot. I think there, and coming from that is a bit of a more biscuity sweetness that lingers after the finish. So you've got this like it's like the taste sort of splits on the finish, and like the main thing in the finish is this like tart sour cherry,
Hmm.
and the cola stuff just doesn't last. So you're like, okay, so it finishes kind of tart. That's nice for a sour IPA, or I think that's what they call this. Um,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
then
it is
on the
10.
bottom, there's a
Mm.
sweetness that's more biscuity that it doesn't feel like it's working with that sour cherry. It feels like it's just another thing that's lingering rather than this is the finish. So it feels kind of untethered in the end, and kind of all the way through. And I think part of that is my bias because I like my beers having a bit of a core beer taste, and this is doing none of that. It's like, yeah, it's trying to be the Mickey Pop um cherry cola, and it's closer to cherry cola than beer than IPA,
Yeah.
but it's still not very cherry cola. So it's kind of
I'm
yeah.
I'm trying to remember because I'm sure I had another cherry beer from it might have been Northern Monk as well. It might have been one of the patron projects ones as well. Trying to remember what it was, but I just know that I absolutely was not a fan.
Mm.
Um, yeah, but I just don't think I don't like cherry cola as it is. So
Well, it's interesting because
putting
I
it in
mean
beer.
I like cherry
Mm,
cola, but I like Dr Pepper more, and like this feels like
mhm.
it should be living closer to that, except for the fact that they've got the sour cherries versus more sweet.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm just getting none of the like those cola tastes. Really, there's like just a bit
Mm.
of a rootiness in the nose and the beginning of the taste. I suspect I'll absent-mindedly keep drinking this as if it was a cola, or
Yeah.
it'll last for a long time because I'm just not feeling it, unfortunately.
Mm.
And it's not a taste that I want to like take huge mouthfuls of. But yeah, so we'll see how
Maybe not
and
quality
maybe it'll
though.
develop more as we go on.
Yeah.
But that's sort of where I'm at with that one. Somehow I've spilt on my desk, even though I just cleaned it after the
Well,
electricians were
there we
in.
go.
Oh, it's not even the thing I'm drinking. I don't know where this came from.
A leak.
Is that? Hold on a second. Is my keyboard making marks? No. Okay. Okay. Sorry.
Your
Right.
keyboard is peeing on your desk.
Hmm. So, speaking of peeing on the desk, oh, the cat is sulking. I don't know if you can kind of see him.
Yeah, I can
He's
see.
sulking at
There
the
we
door. Yeah.
go.
Right. So that's beers for a bit. Sounds like hopefully round two is a little more enthusing for both of us.
Mm-hmm. Here's
Although,
hoping.
yeah. So what you got to tell us about games this week, Lucy?
I've been playing some games, but they're still under embargo until next week, so I can't talk about those. Pokemon Snap. I picked that up.
Hmm. Good. Actually, I've been really interested in that game. I listened to the besties on it, and that made me more intrigued. I never played. Did you play the N64 game?
Yeah, literally like last year.
Oh,
Um,
handy.
it's yeah, because I think it was after they announced the new Pokemon Snap. So I was like, I'm intrigued. It's like, look, why does everybody like it? And there is something very quaint about it. I mean, you like photography, so I don't know how much, if any, you know, fondness you have for Pokemon. Like, yeah.
It's before my time. He says, old man, gray beard.
um, yeah. The thing is that I've only played Yellow uh, as a kid, so I have fondness for that. I have nostalgia for not even Pokemon itself, just I guess when I'm playing Pokemon Snap and going back to the N64 game, I think it was just like, oh, I remember a Bulbasaur, I remember a Pikachu or whatever. And this game, I don't know how many Pokemon they've been since. Probably 7,000. Obviously, they're not all in the game because that would be insane. But even though I have no knowledge of some of the like, probably let's say 75% of these Pokemon probably it's still nice when an old Pokemon that I know pops up. And the way that you are moving through these environments on basically it's on rails on this pretty much it's like a theme park ride on
Like, so
rails.
you're literally on rails.
Yeah. It it is nice to see like how these Pokemon interact with the environment, and this obviously would have been way more surprising and unique and novel back in 1999 or whenever the first game came out, because it's like Pokemon had not been done in a 3D space. Maybe there was Pokemon Stadium. I don't know. But anyway, just like seeing Pokemon interact with each other and seeing them out, literally in the wild. But I think like the most recent Pokemon's they've done like a you know semi-ish open world uh landscape where it's like, yes, you see Pokemon walking out in the wild. So it's obviously not as novel for people who are coming into who have been Pokemon fans for 25 odd years, but it's still nice for me, and I think it's just a really colorful, good looking game. Less good looking when you're playing it on a 55-inch screen TV, so I've been playing it mostly handheld.
Ah, interesting. And you're just talking about because is that screen a 1080 or a 4K?
Oh, my TV's 4K.
Yeah. So because
Yeah.
I mean, in front of me is my TV that's 4K. It's only 49 inches or something. I don't know, 40 something. But I'm like, you know,
Yeah.
barely
It
like if I lean back, I can't touch it when I extend my arm.
yeah.
But otherwise, and so when I play Switch games, it's clear that it's not great. But like one of the reasons I really
Mm,
respected like Hades is it scaled really well. So although you could
yeah.
tell, like I mean, it's like the signal disparity is just what it is. Like the pixels just
Mhm.
aren't there, but like the art style really lent itself to
Yeah.
scaling up and like not feeling pixelated in the places it's not supposed to,
Yeah.
probably because
Yeah.
of the outlines. But you're saying not so much with this.
I think it does. It does have that art style where it does scale well. And they're not going for full realism or anything. Uh, the part where I noticed it the most is after you've taken your photos and you're basically getting them judged by, I think he's called Professor Mirror in this one, but when you're getting them judged by Professor Mirror, when you see like the Polaroids, they do look like really hazy. They look very,
Hmm.
they look more pixelated. So it's just like, oh, it's like you're covering your eyes a bit at that point, but the rest of the game, it's fine to play on a TV. It's just one of those where it's like, I enjoy just sitting back, relaxing, or being in bed and playing it because it is a relaxing, like very low impact kind of. It's a puzzle game
Right.
because in this one, um, they have these different levels. It's basically stars. You get 1 to 4 stars. And like 1 star is just like taking a normal portrait of Bulbasaur, but a 2 star portrait is like getting him, getting a photo of him when he's eating.
Right.
And a 3 star one is like, oh, he's doing some weird backflip or something like that. And 4 is when they're procreating, yes. But yeah, so there's different levels, and it's I think my only gripe with this game so far is the fact that in the first game, the only other game, you got like this thing where you could speed up. You could speed up the ride that you're in and go through the levels quicker. So it's like I only need like one more picture of
Oh, right, because you can't go
Bulbasaur to complete my
backwards.
album. No, you can like rotate your camera around, so it's like, oh, I just missed Pikachu there.
Yeah,
And I've already gone past him. You can turn around
but you
in
can't
like
like pause the
360 crash.
car.
No, no,
Ugh.
you can't pause the car. It's like in Jurassic Park. You can't pause the car. You
Well,
can't get out.
until the car gets knocked off the rails, and then you stay there
Yes,
forever.
by a Charizard. Yeah.
Hmm.
But you can't. I don't know if they have like the turbo nitro speed in this one. I think they might. I hope they do, but I just haven't unlocked that yet
Oh,
because the game opens up gradually over time the more you play because each like course has a night and day and you can level up each like run that you go on. So level 2 is going to be there's going to be more Pokemon. They're going to be doing different things. They're going to be in different poses and animations and interactions. So it's like you're leveling those up. You're getting all your and you're having these every now and then. It's like, oh, you can now throw an apple or whatever they call it in this game, fluffy fruit. Um, you can throw one of those at the Pokemon. It's fun just to like just throw them right in their face and watch them like get stunned a bit. Or you get an apple, then you can like play some music, see if the music gets them to sing back or something. So there's different things that you unlock over time that help you interact with the Pokemon and make them do different things. I want that turbo. I just want to be able to like, go through the level at my speed. It's like I don't mind replaying the level. I think it's fun just seeing the minor changes each time you go through the same level on a different level of experience where it's like the Pokemon become more comfortable in your
Oh, okay.
surroundings. That's the idea of it. It's like, okay, there's more Pokemon on level 3 because like they've become more comfortable to you being there. So yeah, I just really want a lot of that turbo.
I, I mean, that sounds really kind of frustrating. And like I said, from what
Mm,
I've heard about these games, that's one of the things that people sort of lament or whatever is the
yeah.
um is the like the on rails and the like hey, in order to get progress you need to get this type of photo,
Hmm.
and sort of the thing that makes me question whether I would want it outside of the fact that I give two shits about Pokemon.
Yeah.
I mean, which isn't a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would play a Pokemon game if it seemed cool, and like photography
Hmm.
game seems good, but also so yeah, so one of these things is like progression is sort of get based on these kind of strict notions of what makes a good photo, and that's mostly not about composition so much as capturing
Yeah. It's
certain
getting them.
activities
It's getting
centering
them
them.
dead center,
Yeah,
them looking at you, and yeah, it's the certain activities. It's not, you know, it's it, it's getting graded by an AI at the end of the
yeah,
day. So it's
exactly,
like,
yeah.
they don't have an eye for art or
I mean,
whatever it is.
yet. um
Yeah, true.
but like Ian, and so like you know that going in, if you didn't,
Hmm.
like you just need to know like this is just common sense. It's not, it's your favorite photos in this game won't be the highest graded ones probably, right? But that's
Hmm.
okay. And like I like the repetition because it lets you potentially find places to take the photos you want to take. And yeah, the game is still a game, and these types of AIs don't exist such that it's going to evaluate well, and so it makes sense. Like center, do you see thing
Yeah.
doing thing, cool, right? And I'm fine with those being a little artificial and against what you might want to do. Fine, right? But then if you're forced to like repeat a 10-minute run to catch a Bulbasaur or whatever, and they can't even
Yeah.
pause, like to me, actually, like it's like so even
Yeah.
if
You can pause the game. You just can't stop the
yeah, sorry, that's what I mean. I
the
mean,
thing. Yeah.
pause
Mhm.
the movement because like as a like, I kind of wish it was more like a wildlife photography where you sit in one spot and you wait for the right moment.
Maybe. Well,
But mostly, I just
I
think,
was gonna say Alba. iOS. Is it still
oh, I've
just
heard
only
about
on
this.
iOS?
Yeah,
Yeah. Then played it. I've played it. It's an enjoyable 3 4 hours, but uh, yeah,
yeah,
it's
seems
not
up.
a it's like, baby's first bird watching thing, and it's not photography.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
mean, so I guess it would be nice if they. I get that they're making a game that is doing this, but it would be nice if it had the
Mhm.
flexibility to, like, for example, it's giving you these photography tools, and just because like I said, your favorite photo might not be one that's rated well, but it feels
Mhm.
like there's an artificial wall in being able to take your favorite photo. Wouldn't it be great if you just saw, like, you have 5 points in Bulbasaur, but you saw him and you're like, stop the tracks, take the picture, or like, oh, it's my favorite Pokemon. I already have the 3 star or
Yeah.
4 star version, but given that I have to do this loop anyway, I want to stop and watch these ones and try and get something that I like,
Yeah.
which would be acknowledging the gap between what someone might personally find aesthetically pleasing and what the game will determine, and giving them the tools to do both. And it feels like
Yeah.
there's a missed opportunity here just in the continuous locomotion, because like actually as a photographer it's rare that I just yeah, like moving car shot, like
Mm. I get what you're saying, but I think that would be a completely different game. I
that's fair.
think this is a photography game last. It's a Pokemon nostalgia puzzle game first. Photography is usually, it comes second fiddle. You can save like your favorite photos that you got from that run, and you can alter them afterwards. I don't know how robust the editing tools are afterwards, but you can save them, edit them, upload them online if you wish. But I think it would be a different game because I think it would lose some of its whimsy. It would lose some of its, if you could just like get out and see this Bulbasaur on this very, you know, um, typical path. It's like it's like playing like a stealth game and you see the guards doing the same loop every single time, whereas something like, I don't know, The Last of Us or something, they're a bit more dynamic. This isn't the kind of game that would, I'm sure the budget was high for it or whatever, and it's a well-made game, but it isn't one of those where it's like, let's have everything be dynamic. So getting out of the Neo One, your car, I think that would break some of the, uh, you know, uh, fantasy, and it'd be like sneak behind the curtain, but there's not really much there. It doesn't have that going for it. So as I say, I think if you're going into it, either love Pokemon or just want to, you know,
Like a
a puzzle
pseudo
game.
idle
It's
game,
just
kind of like.
yeah. That's what I like about it. It's like I can just snap some pictures of Pokemon whilst listening to a podcast if I want to, and it's nice seeing the different changes. I think it is a very, as you say, idle game. You're not going to be, swept off your feet with excitement, and it's going to know that it is like a tiny bit of, you know, it's gated
Right.
between when you can progress. The first game it was like 4 hours long, so I understand that. I don't know how long this game is, but I've been playing it for a good, at least 15 hours, I'd say.
Oh, geez. Oh,
Yeah,
just
just because
remarkably bigger.
just because it's like I don't mind going on the same course on different levels like several times because I have that patience. Sometimes some games I just wouldn't have the patience for that, but this one I do because it's just like, yeah, just snapping photos. But I think where they've really like extended like the content in this one, they obviously have like more levels and more islands. I don't know how many there are now in the game. Who knows if there'll be DLC? Doubt it, but I don't know how many there are. But I think I've done at least like 7 different. You know, there's different islands, and then it's like, oh, in the uh coastal island or whatever. What all islands are coastal, aren't they? The beach one, where there's a nice beach and
Yeah.
stuff like that. That you can. There's like one level where it's set on the beach, and then there's one where you're going, above sea level, and it's like, you know, gliding across water. And there's one where it's like a subterranean under the sea,
Oh, cool.
on the sea floor. So yeah, they switch it up. There's a lot of different Pokemon, and also you have this list of requests where it's like, oh, I want to see a Ponyta doing this. I don't know if Ponyta's in the game. I don't know. Just pulling random Pokemon out of my arse.
I mean,
But
you could have said generic set of syllables and be like, aha, one of
yeah,
them's.
I mean, some of them generally are. Some of these Pokemon, like I think there's an art to making their name so stupid and generic, but I bet there's been so much thought and care going into it. But I think it's just like a running joke. Like there's literally a bag of trash called Trubbish. And you
Oh, that's
just
pretty good. See, I would be
yeah,
like Vacuum Rex, and I think that's not a good Pokemon name.
yeah. I mean, yeah, there's some
More nuance,
the
right?
names are eye rolling in the best way.
Hmm.
But yeah, there's basically requests. It's like, yes, I want to see Trubbish farting or something like that, and you that's what he
Get
does.
you. I get you.
And
So,
yeah,
so sorry. Can you just to go to the structure of the game? So
hmm
you've got a general set of like you go up to the island and you like earn stars, or is it that these request? Sorry, are these requests separate, or are these like
yeah,
it's
which
like two
which is
different tracks of earning sort of
it's
XP
just
or doing things? Two task
I
sets.
think doing them, it allows you to unlock like different things that you can put, customize your own photos with. Like, oh, it unlocks, this picture of, sunglasses, so I can put sunglasses on my Pokemon in
Oh,
my
like
pictures.
filters and stuff and stickers and stuff.
Yeah, filters, that's the exact word. Yeah, so that's what it unlocks. So probably not something I'm going to engage with the rewards, because I don't care about actually uploading the photos.
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
don't care about that. But yeah, it just gives you that additional content. But what I don't like is the fact that for you to complete the request, you, as far as I know, you have to select that favorite run, and that can then overwrite the the photo that you've already got, which is like because this whole star system, each star level has like bronze, silver, gold, platinum. So it's like 4 star levels and 4.
Substar levels.
Yeah. And so if I catch a Trubbish farting, but it's not the best photo, it's like Trubbish wasn't in the center of the frame, or there wasn't other
Yeah.
Pokemon around. It's like, oh, that may only get me like a 1 star bronze, evaluation, but I have to select that to log it as a completed request. And
Oh,
I'm
that
just like,
seems really.
it's dumb.
Yeah.
It's real dumb. Yeah.
I
That
mean,
is my one gripe with the game. It's like, as soon as I take that photo, it should just be like request completed,
yeah.
or here's a separate album of the stuff that you
Yeah,
completed
I
the
mean,
request
sure.
with.
Yeah, you'd think that like it'd be like, here's your star level shots. You say this is my best shot, and then in your album, you're like, just go to requests. Hey, I
Yeah,
have one of those. Who
yeah,
cares?
yeah. It's annoying because it's like on that same run you might have fulfilled that request, but then you almost might get a 4 star platinum thing
I
in the
just,
same run, and you can only choose one that can be graded, and it's
right.
like, do I choose between the request one or this really, uh, you know, uh, platinum
Like,
exclusive photo
like something I think
photo op
will
that I
be
got?
hard to replicate.
Yeah, so that sucks.
Yeah.
Um,
That seems needlessly introducing grind between the two, rather
yeah,
than having the two sort of ways of doing it, which is like get your according to the AI perfect shot and
hmm
help people out. It's like, oh, cool, I could do either. It's like, oh no, actually, you can't do either. uh,
yeah, and I think that would be alleviated if, like, the turbo. I hope it's in there. If the turbo's in there, and if it was unlocked quicker, it's got to be in there. I got to Google this because otherwise,
yeah, I was just gonna Google it as well. Pokemon Snap
yeah,
Switch
because it has all the
turbo.
other things that were in the first game, like the apples and playing the music and just doing like a sonar thing.
Aha, I found it.
Hmm? Does it have it?
It does have it. It can be unlocked after doing the first 4 Illumina spots and unlocking the Shiver Snowfields level.
Oh, okay. I've only just got to one where it's like a forest. It's like the Lost Woods in Zelda.
Hmm.
Everything's foggy there, so just got that. So maybe I'm only a little away. But that's exciting to know that there's more levels after the one that I'm on. So
But also I think your point before we looked this up is very big, important, which is why do you have to wait? Like, I feel like
yeah.
things like that seems
Mm.
pretty rudimentary, given that it's a looping mechanic. That like do the tutorial maybe one level and then give me the option of controlling my speed because I'm going to
Yes,
be
that.
enter.
Yeah,
That's a quality of life thing post grind. And you've already given me the
yeah, yeah.
grind. So once you give me the grind, give me the quality of life. Like that's just a good, be nice to your customer game design philosophy, right?
I
Rather
agree.
than yeah,
Yeah, I'm surprised it takes that long. I don't understand the reasoning for that. I think it's exacerbated in my case because I have just been going and doing each level like 4 or 5
yeah.
times
It feels
for
like
no
you're
particular reason.
well. It feels like you're kind of doing it the way that like IO wants people to do Hitman levels, which is like play in this playground until you're bored,
You're
then
right.
go to the next one, right? And it feels like you're
That's a really good analogy.
yeah,
Yeah. I
and
have a problem.
yeah, I was like, I wasn't gonna say, and it might be because boy, do you like the Hitman games. But I mean, I think that should be. It sucks that you're kind of without knowing it, they're
Mhm.
discouraging this style of play, which is actually
Mhm.
enjoy as much of this game as you can rather than racing through.
Yeah. But I think a lot of people. I don't think it opens up at a snail pace. I think because usually after you've done a run like twice, and there's always on the second run, you are always finding different things, either because you've leveled it up a bit, or because it's just like, no, we're going to throw new things at you. And then literally after you've done a level once or twice, it's you go back and then Professor Mirror is like, oh, I've got something to report. We found another island. We found another location. I do think it opens up at a decent pace if you're playing that way, which I imagine most people will play that way. Um,
Right.
so I think it's perfectly acceptable the pace that it's going, and it's like you don't want to just. I understand why they wouldn't just want to like, here you go, here's a free for all, here are all. Someone will play through all of them, and maybe just like not get the nuance of like, okay, you're gonna have to do other things on each level
Mm.
to evoke the Pokemon to a state where the photos are going to be better. So yeah, I understand why they dole it out like that. I don't think it's that slow. I think if you went from like A to B, the speed run of it
Mm.
wouldn't be that long. It'd probably be like a a run say like 10 minutes max. I think
Right.
it's like more to like 5 minutes. So people would be upset if it was like I got to the last level in half an hour. What do I do now? So
Yeah, I guess maybe it's just I think I just having never played the game, but just the
mhm.
philosophy of being on rails and taking photos just really hurts my brain. So
Yeah,
like
I like it. It's like being on a ride, on a theme park ride, and
yeah.
that's what I like. I say it's the
Well,
whimsy of that.
I guess that so I guess going with that, it's like okay, I get that we have to be moving, but then it seems like the
Pokemon
grind
will eat you if you get out your car.
right, but like the grind that introduces is I missed it or didn't get a good shot of this thing, and my
It's the
checklist
thrill.
says
Like
this thing is the
I need to
thing.
see it again. I need to go back and be in that moment and get the picture at that
Yeah,
right time.
and so I think probably it's like what they want out of the loop is well, then by going at it sort of on the default pace, you will see other
Hmm.
things and maybe get better shots or shots you like on the way. So maybe that's why they're like, until we're in the mid to late game, I don't want you to fast forward because
Hmm.
I can trust you as a gamer who's gone through it
Yeah.
to know the usefulness of not just fast forwarding each loop because you've had to not fast forward. So this is me changing my tune. I can see the
Right.
well, like I can see the rationale. It's just I don't know if the rationale is carried through, and obviously I've never played the
Hmm.
game, but like
Yeah.
I can see the tension between um, a quality of life improvement and making sure that people get to enjoy what you think is the good parts of the game, which I think is just being as you're playing it, right? Which is essentially being on the ride and looking around, and when you see something cool, taking the picture. And like,
Yeah.
actually, if there were no requirements and you just were given the islands and the rails, you would have emergent gameplay of looking for good pictures. But most people
Mhm.
wouldn't buy the game that's like, hey, there's a track and some Pokemon and a camera.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
have fun. But actually, that's like that would be the best wrapping for me, and I know immediately that
Hmm.
that's not
Hmm.
saleable.
Yeah.
So maybe all my critiques, here's the grain of salt. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. No. I completely understand. Like, you like your photography, so this is very much an on rails puzzle game. Like, you may get the same, thrill out of it as you would just like any arcade light gun game, and it's
yeah,
just on rails and that's it. But it,
oh, a
I
light
I
game
hate saying this
Pokemon
because it's
game.
yeah. I hate saying this because it's like, oh, you just don't get it, man. But it's like it is something that you have to play and experience to understand, like the quaintness of it, and like it, it's a strange thing because I was just like, I didn't have any feelings towards Pokemon Snap before I played the first one. I was just like, that's the game people liked. Never thought of why people liked it or whatever, but when you play it, it's like, oh, I get it now. It's
Right.
basically a puzzle game. Like Hitman.
That thing by you saying that, I get exactly why the way I need to like rewire my brain with respect to it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Uh, I mean, it's understandable to think like, yes, Pokemon Snap, it's a photography game because it's like, yes, that's the easiest analog, but it's kind of not. It's kind of a slow
that's
on
just the yeah,
puzzle game.
that's the vector of the puzzle being presented, not
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
type of game it is. That make I mean that makes
Hmm.
sense to me. Cool.
Yeah, because it's got stuff like it where it's like, okay, someone's got a request where Arbok and Venus, and it's like Arbok's on this track, and if you leave him alone, he'll do this. But if I like, first of all, lure him away from this other, throw an apple over there, and keep bringing him towards like Venusaur, then I get that snap of them fighting. So
I see what you mean.
as I say, it's a puzzle game, you
Yeah,
know.
so
So
that's the bit I missed was the luring, the moving, the interactions. Because I
yeah,
think the problem is it sounds like a like an actual Jurassic Park theme park ride, like you'd have at Universal or whatever. I can't
yeah,
remember if that's the right studio. Like not the fictional Jurassic Park rides, but the ones you
hmm
find in the real world, which is just like
hmm
robots doing this and like no interactivity, like you are just watching them do their set pieces. And
hmm
so I think that's the bit I was missing from even
yeah,
like other places I've described it, is that like you are interacting with the world and changing the loops,
yeah, yeah. Because
which
you can just leave them alone and
mm,
just take photos of that, but you're not going to get the the more dynamic photos where it's like they're doing this, they're chasing each other, they're doing that, and it's like, yeah. So
yeah. So
it's a puzzle game. It
I mean that makes
really,
so much sense as soon as you
yeah.
said that, now I'm
hmm
a lot more interested in it, to be
hmm
honest. um because yeah, like then it's like each loop you can be potentially, if you're like maximizing your experimentation, like first couple loops you have no good photos, but you're learning how to interact with whatever various Pokemon you're
Yeah,
supposed to, and then
yeah.
by the end of it you can take multiple good photos at once potentially. Like that seems like a cool way of doing the game.
Yeah, and every run there's something new. Whereas in the first game, like the scope is obviously a lot smaller. Uh, you would be repeating runs and seeing the same Pokemon. Whereas there's always an extra new Pokemon or Pokemon doing something different. So having that, as convoluted as it seems at first, having that level system, it does open up more things. So
I mean,
and
that makes
sometimes it
sense.
can
Yeah.
be frustrating if you're throwing an whistling at this Pokemon and it's just not reacting to you, and that maybe because you know the 4-star photo is inevitably on a higher level,
Wait,
but
sorry, could
it's
you?
like there's enough. Yeah, yeah. Repeat that. Just
Yeah,
one
I
more.
guess I don't know what you mean by the 4-star level
Mhm.
is on a 4-star photos on a level, but maybe I'm just not understanding the leveling up mechanic.
Yeah, it's a bit convoluted. It took me a while. So each time you go through one of the levels, you have an experience level, just like any other feature or whatever.
Yeah.
And as you go through the level and take photos, you gain experience points. And then those experience points, it basically goes from level one. It means on this particular route, you're gonna have level one, level two, level three, so on. I don't know
Yeah.
the level. Level one is basically the Pokemon aren't doing much, no matter what you do, no matter how many apples you throw at them, no matter how much you whistle. But on level two of that same route, Pokemon have become more accustomed to you, apparently. And they'll start loosening up and start procreating there on the screen or whatever. And then so on and so forth. So, as I say, the leveling system can be a bit confusing at the start, but then
Right.
you get it after a while.
Right. So
But
it's like a certain puzzles are gated
yes,
away to keep the puzzle mechanic, right?
absolutely.
You
Yeah,
cannot solve this puzzle, which is a 4-star photo of this thing, because
yeah,
to get it to interact in front of you, you have to have played enough of this island or this
yeah,
route. Okay,
yeah.
that makes
So,
sense.
so, in that, I guess it can be frustrating. It's like I just want this Pokemon to do this 4-star thing, and it may not be possible if I'm on this level.
Right.
Um, so I can see why that would annoy people, but you can change whichever level on the route. You can be like, I want to play it as level one or level
Oh,
two or level three. Once you've unlocked those,
yeah.
of course. So
What would be
as I
the
say, there's,
benefit
there's
of
enough
playing at a lower level?
because it's kind of like because this is where a bit of uh, the the draw of the game gets a little lost, because sometimes you do have to drop it to a lower level, because in that level, say if I want to fulfill a request, Sandshrew was on this, you know, was here on level 2, but Sandshrew's all in my face. Whereas I want to get Sandshrew Den, and he's a bit further away. So it's like,
Oh, right.
I
It's
think
the
if you want
movement
to,
around.
yeah. So I think if you want to be a completionist and get all the requests and stuff like that, and there's no reason you have to. It's just as a pure
Oh,
completionist thing. It's like I've been through a level and I've got like most of the photos, like the stars, on the one level. So it's, as I say, it's just a completionist thing. If you want to complete your photo album, if you want to do the requests, it's that's why I'm saying it's a lot of content, which is nice, because the first Pokemon Snap was very short. It was like 4 hours. It was an afternoon. Whereas I've got much more content out of this one. So.
fair. I mean, that
Hmm.
makes that. It sounds quite intriguing, and it sounds like you can sort of take as little as you, or as much
Yeah,
as you want from it.
yeah. I think that's the key thing. Like, play it to your heart's content, or pick it up for 4 hours if you want, and just leave it there.
Now, is this a full priced game, or is this a Nintendo partial
50,
price?
£50, which is, I guess, Nintendo, or was it 6? I don't know.
I think
I
60
bought it
is
for my
the
birthday or whatever.
Nintendo standard.
I got it for my birthday, so I
Oh,
bought it with Nintendo voucher. So I
fair enough.
don't know how much it was. I probably wouldn't have bought it myself.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think that's sort of a lot
Yeah,
of people's, like, if they didn't play the N64 version, a lot of people are just like, ah, maybe?
yeah, this would have been something I'd wait for a sale on, just because it's not the most exciting of games. It's not like a new Mario or a Zelda. It's not that kind of tier, but it's very enjoyable. It's very low impact. It's just it's. I played it for like 5 hours straight one day, so it's like
Oh, I mean, that's a
it grabbed
selling
me
point.
enough. Hmm.
I mean, I was gonna say it's also like just not one of those zeitgeisty games, like
No,
where Twitter sphere media, games media, etc. are not like busting up wanting to talk about it. So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
again
They'll
much
write a
easier to
guide for
put
it.
the pause on
Yeah.
these types of games, right?
Yeah, and as I say, I think it's because just the time we're in, like seeing Pokemon out in the wild, it's not novel anymore. The games are like that now. Seeing Pokemon rendered in 3D, and you know, we're past that. It's no longer 1999. So
Right.
I still find it quaint and enjoyable.
I
So,
mean, that sounds great. That sounds like it's
mhm,
perfect for you. For me,
yes.
like I said before, it's just like, oh, I don't pocket monsters, so like
Hmm.
if
Yeah, and I
it's
don't know what half of these stupid pocket monsters are.
uh,
I don't know
I,
what rubbish is.
I learned that there's a thing called a Raiju, which comes from a Pikachu, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, true.
Um, but that
Yeah, but then Pikachu doesn't want to evolve for ages, and Pikachu, you evolve, and then you realise, like, Raichu's not the best one anyway, so let me just get rid of Pikachu and Raichu out of my team.
and you get rid of them by what? Sacrificing them on an altar?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, good.
Harvest their organs.
Yes, of course. Lightning heart. And then you feed that to your Charmander, and then you make
Yeah.
fire lightning. I know Pikachu. I mean, Pocket Monsters, whatever we call
Mm,
these things.
yeah. But it has got me thinking, like, oh, will I want to, like, know who these new Pokemon are, or ones I don't know outside of the original 150 or whatever?
Hmm.
Should I look into that? I don't even know which game they're making and bringing to the Switch today, but it's like it's all part of the big Pokemon machine.
Yeah.
It's just this is like free advertising, basically.
Yeah, I mean,
But
it's
yeah.
also a great way for them to keep people into Pokemon sort of
Hmm.
throughout the years and time between games, right?
Yeah,
Makes
and
sense to
the
me.
original Pokemon that had the development is a fascinating story. So, I think I watched like a video on MinMax where because I think there was a book that came out about Iwata's, history, and I think using that and just other research, guy from MinMax, I think it's like what a 10-minute video on just like the development of Pokemon Snap, and
Hmm.
it's interesting.
I'll have to take a look.
Can't go into it here, but yeah, it's weird.
I mean, that sounds like Pocket Monsters to me.
Yeah, they are weird. Yeah.
Any other games you've been playing, or is that the main non-embargoed?
Uh, that's the main one. I do want to shout out there's some other games that I played. I've actually I think I started it, was it yesterday? What is time? I just saw on like PC Gamer a few other things where it's like, oh, there's this point and click adventure that's completely made out of paper. And it's called Papetura. Papetura. I think I'm basically at the end of it. It's only about 2 hours long, but I think this took this guy what 6 years to make it,
Oh wow.
and it's got this yeah, it's everything's made out of paper in the game, and it's insane. And I've been mashing F12 whilst playing this game, just taking screenshots because
Mm.
it's really
Wow,
really
it's
impressive.
pretty.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and just read about it and I was like, oh, go to Steam store and have a look. Just reading the reviews, all very positive, but I think the review that I saw when they said, "Oh, it's like uh, Machinarium meets the Neverhood," and I was just
Oh
like,
wow.
"Take my
Sold.
money now."
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely got that kind of like Machinarium, no dialogue, and it's got like the same guy doing the music who does the music for Emily
Oh,
Floex. So
right.
it's got weird, really odd, not quite eccentric, but you know, different soundtrack. But yeah, I've enjoyed it. I think I'm right at the end. It only took probably about an hour and or more than that, maybe hour and a half, 2 hours. So
Mm.
it is really short, but I just think when you see something as creative as this, took the guy 6 years to make. It's like,
Wow.
did
Yeah.
I buy it for like £8? It, just creativity like that has just got to be awarded.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And investigated. I mean,
Mm,
that's so
yeah.
cool. Also, like, if the narrative is good, I mean, this is the thing I love about point and clicks is that like
Mhm.
you can focus a lot of your time on narrative and aesthetics because for the most part the
Yeah.
gameplay mechanic is out of the box, right? It's just not a
Yeah.
thing you need
Yeah.
to spend a lot of time on unless you want to for various reasons, but like also it's makes it more accessible because it's
Yeah.
simple mechanics, and then which means you don't have to concentrate on anything else except the pretty, which this
Yeah.
seems excessively.
Yeah. Because you're playing through it and then like you're just taken aback and just thinking he made all this, that like everything in it is made out of paper. So yeah, I just wanted to give that a quick shout out. It's not the best point and click adventure game. It's very rudimentary. There's no like inventory, management or
Oh, so
combining.
it's much more like navigate the world versus solve
Yeah,
puzzles.
yeah, and it's not really got. I mean, it's a paper world baddie who's like setting the place on fire. So
Mm.
the story is about being an arsonist, but yeah, the story isn't deep. But so this is I wouldn't say style over substance, but it's got a lot.
Right.
Yeah,
And
check that out. And the other game that I played, very short game, also. I'd say very. It probably took me what 3 hours, 4 hours. It's called Pocket Watch, which is. Are you familiar with Sock Pop and their games?
um what give me I'm really bad with studio dev names.
No, it's fine. They have a really interesting thing because they're I believe, 100% funded by Patreon.
Oh wow.
And basically, they put out a new game, like very small scope, small in, obviously budget and everything. Very small game each month for like Patreon supporters.
Oh, I have
They
heard of
also,
these guys.
yeah, and they also stick their games on itch, and I think they're starting to bring their games to Steam as well. Um, I bought this on itch, and they give you a Steam code as well, so I was like, okay, I'll stick it in my Steam library and play on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically a Groundhog Day kind of thing where you wake up on this little mysterious island. You're a duck,
I mean, good start
and
there.
and basically every loop, the world's going to end at the end of the day. This is your first run, because it's a volcano, and it's okay. This duck has to stop Rapture and the end of the world. Um, and you basically get this pocket watch, and then it's basically just a little puzzle game where it's like, okay, on this run, because you start off on like this even smaller island attached from like the main island. It's like a little archipelago,
Mm-hmm.
and basically this dog who's like who ferries from, he lives on that little island. He ferries over the main island, but at the very start of each run, his boat is broken. So, and his toolbox is on like another little island over there. But he's like, can't go over there. For some reason, this duck can't swim. He's like, well, he can't swim too far without drowning. But
Mm.
so he's like, oh, we have to wait until high tide until you can just paddle over there and then get my wrench so I can fix my boat. But when you get the wrench, it's like, oh, it's high tide, the boat is, submerged, so we're gonna have to wait till low tide. And so you have to wait till low tide. Fix the boat, you go over to the main island, and it's like, oh wait, it's already like 6 p.m., the world's gonna end at 11 p.m. And so when you get the pocket watch, it like rewinds back time to the start of the day. And then you start learning, like interacting with the different townspeople and getting different items. So it's like in like run 5, you don't need to fix the dog's boat because you found another way to get to
So
the main
it's
island.
still resetting. There's no carry through except information.
You actually keep your items
Oh, okay.
that you've accrued, which
So
I
yes,
don't know how the space time continuum
yeah,
works, but
it's
it helps.
roguelite.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a really clever puzzle game. It's like what, less than £3, and yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Cool.
It's clever, and the arts, Suck Pop make games with like really nice, cute art
Yeah,
as well.
cute
So
is a very good term for it.
yeah, cute and colorful. So
Neat. I'm definitely gonna check that out. That sounds right up my alley.
yeah, yeah. I
I
mean, for
like when the
like
gameplay
£2
loop is an
fifty.
actual space time loop.
Yeah.
like like when
It,
games explain the like, so that's one of the reasons why I really liked Hades as a roguelike, for example.
hmm
It's because the loops made sense.
yeah.
Uh versus, um you're in this world. Oh, you died. Well, now you're still in this world. And it's like, but what? Meh?
Yeah.
You know? Cool.
Yeah, it's good because like your progression isn't uh gated by how good you are at the game. Like in a From Software games, example, it's gated about how much you learn about the world. Sort of like Gone Home, stuff like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and it's like an epistemic game loop rather than a skill game loop.
absolutely. What a
Very cool.
wonderful way of putting that.
It sounds like
Yeah.
up my wheelhouse. Also, it's really cute.
Yes, very cute.
Also, what? Oh, this must be a trailer for all their other games because I was seeing a lot of
Yeah.
scenes that didn't make sense on the Steam
Yeah,
page.
but I haven't dipped too much into their library of games, but I also recommend Pair, which is sort of, it's like a one-screen adventure game, which is real
Hmm.
cool. It's like one bit black and white art, sort of like in Hidden Folks, and the whole adventure like
Right.
Probably about an hour long. Takes place on that one screen. It's very zoomed out and small, like, say, hidden fights. But yeah, Sock
Excellent.
Pop. Go check them out. Go check out their whole suite of games.
I will definitely do that. How are you for beer?
Just finished, so could do for another.
Excellent. Let's crack in to beer number 2.
Yep.
Why don't you go first again?
Alright, alright. This is from Twirl. And I've actually been waiting to have this on the podcast a few weeks, so very excited. It is. Oh, I like this name. It's called Red Sky at Night Brewer's Delight. It's an
Ooh.
Imperial Red Ale.
Hmm.
And it's a collaboration with our friends from Slow Burn Company. No, Co-op, sorry. Yep, brewed in Copenhagen. Percent.
Sorry, you cut out there. How many percent?
7.4.
Hmm.
Yeah, no flavor text. No mention of hops. No, 7.4% red ale. Imperial red ale.
Nice. What's that tin look like?
It's like a overexposed camera shot. It's like my pictures in like Pokemon Snap, where it's like my thumbs over the camera.
Oh man, a
And you
camera
can
game where you had to like make sure your hand wasn't. Oh, that'd be so utterly pointless but hilarious.
Have you looked into like Umurangi Generation?
No.
Have a look at that after we record, because that's a photography game and it's interesting. That's definitely more photography focused.
Cool. I have opened the tab and done the search. I'm drinking the Looper Full Circle Brewing Company's
Okay.
Looper. It's a 6.4% IPA, soft and juicy with zesty sweet lemon and lime. Hugely drinkable, hop to the eyes. Bitterness takes a backseat to gentle grapefruit. It is a 440ml can, and it is a 6.4%. That's. I mean, also, I basically I got it because I just love this can art. I mean, also it's been a
Yeah,
while
that
since
came
I've
out
had a
great.
full circle, but like not only is it this lovely color blocking, but like with the slash, and the circle being completed by their logo. But I think you can see in the reflection that the orange is actually embossed with like shiny bits. You can see.
Oh yeah,
So there's
yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
pattern in the orange. So it looks like this really just color blocks, but actually
Yeah,
there's like so
super.
much nuance on the one, while the like the beige is just flat. It's just I appreciate good graphic design.
Yeah, that is like classic. Is it like Bauhaus, like kind of looking art?
Oh, don't stop pouring on camera, Dill. You fucked up. while my amazing poor
Mm.
head calms down a bit. Um, why don't you tell me about your beer? Oh, I love that color.
Yeah, it looks like a red egg.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot darker
I was gonna say I get the
on
Imperial
camera.
kind of just by the looks.
Mm. It's yeah, it looks like a like Belgian double on camera, but no, it's a bit lighter um here, slightly more reddish,
Mm.
just like almost dark brown. Smell wise, I'm guessing. Guess I'm getting like a little bit of cinnamon on this.
Oh,
It's a bit funky. It's a bit farty on the smell. So I haven't got a great smell, but I think I'm getting a little bit
we should. If only it
on
was
there.
a trash can or whatever you called it.
Rubbish, rubbish.
We could take a picture.
Yeah. It's a really good looking beer, like
Mm.
that color, and yeah, slightly off white, one finger head, like bubbly.
Oh, I
That's
like that look on your
nice.
face.
I think it's because I haven't had a red ale in so long,
Mm.
and like some red ales, it's like, have a bit too much maltiness, a bit too. Sometimes they're a bit too a bit too carbonated, a bit too gassy. Whereas this, it's very soft. It's like there's hardly any carbonation. It's like a few bubbles in it.
Oh, that's interesting. I would have thought it'd be a little more carbonated just because of the head, but
Yeah, but it's not. But that's not to its detriment, because you're still getting you're getting a nice maltiness, but it's not overpowering, and you're getting a bit of earthiness, but you're also getting like a slight bit of fruitiness as well.
hmm.
Yeah, a slight bit of fruitiness, like almost cherry, but not in like cherry coffee thing. Like yeah, just yeah, like red berries. So you're getting that, and you're still getting it's nice and bitter at the end as well. Not extremely bitter, but you're getting that nice, the nice maltiness, the nice, you know, bitterness, the earthiness. It's got a nice finish. It
Right.
isn't like the other beer where it was just, turning into a slightly watery finish on the end. This has got legs.
Legs,
Yeah,
you
oh,
say?
this is good. Yes, this is really, really, really. I mean, it's too also, no shit, but it's. Oh, I think I need another can of this. It's
I
just
mean, if
nice
that's not
and
a
novel
sales
to have a
pitch,
red ale as well.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it
also
just balances those flavors so well.
it's good weather for red as well. It's been spring,
Yeah.
but it's an off and on. I don't know if it's like this in Birmingham, but like
Oh
big
god,
patches
yeah.
of sun and a lot of rain and some patches of sun. Like I think that's a really good spot for
Monsoon.
like,
Yeah.
you're in the cold-ish, but it's not stout porter weather. Like it's
Yeah. Yeah. This is like a perfect, late autumn beer,
yeah.
which is what it feels like now. Strangely enough.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think Sabotage Spring feels a lot like late autumn,
Mm.
and I think
Yeah.
that's sort of where we're at.
But getting a little bit of the alcohol, so you're definitely feeling that 7.4%.
Hmm.
But whereas the other beer felt like quite heavy for a 5.5%, this doesn't. First of all, because that smoothness and the lack of carbonation, it goes down very smoothly.
Hmm.
And yeah, this is a cracking beer.
I kind of tell just based on your first sip. It sounds like the subsequent ones have only raised its esteem.
Mm, yeah, as I say, so well balanced. It's like so light and a bit fruity at the start, and it just tapers into that lovely bitterness, earthiness, malt.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, very moorish, very rustic. This is the perfect beer that you want in. Like, I'm gonna knock it back now. It's good.
Yeah. Excellent. I've got probably the opposite. I've
Yeah,
got this
yeah.
hazy, light yellow, straw gold colored. You can still see the head is just clinging to the glass.
Mhm.
Um, on the nose, you're getting that grapefruit. I think the flavor text mentioned, but also some citrus. Oh, and some sweetness. So I want to say it's like a touch of key lime mixed with lemon juice. Like so,
Mm,
there's a sweet limey. It's basically lemon and lime, but with like
yeah.
sweetness on top. So it's not too tart. I think the tart. It feels like the tartness is coming from that grapefruit flavor, but you can notice the
Mhm,
difference between those just on the nose. And then lightly tropical, like you're thinking like a light hint of passion fruit on the like that. All these citrus flavors are sort of building out of.
mhm.
And then yeah, like I said, this head that still just won't quite quit, but is settled to a finger.
Yeah. Yeah, this looks like a beer. That-
Oh, it tastes like a
Unlike
beer too.
your choice.
This
Oh,
is
good.
this is a an actual spring beer. It's
Mm,
like really light. It's 6.4%. Yeah, could easily be less, way less.
uh,
Very drinkable, but I mean, it's betrayed
mm,
by just having that viscosity that you can't
mm,
fake. So it's like when you don't pay attention to the viscosity, you're like, oh, this is really light and airy, and It's got
Yeah.
this again, all that citrus is giving this zesty feel. It brings you up. Um and like even on the finish there's a light bitterness, but it's still got that
Mhm.
sweetness as well. And then so you can feel like, oh, this is light beer, it's just a session
Yeah.
straight whatever. But actually it's just really well crafted, and even that grapefruitiness isn't that bitter. Everything is like
Mhm.
all the betrayals of a 6% IPA are kind of dialed down just enough that you could not notice if you weren't paying attention.
Nice. Yeah.
And what I really like though is it's got this again light maltiness that is there through the finish, and then you have so it finishes kind of sweet and a little malty,
Okay.
and it's
Mhm.
saying, hey, this isn't just a light frothy juice. Like, this is clearly a beer. The bitterness is light but there throughout, and then it ends kind of malty and a bit of a sweetness, but the rest of the flavor is kind of this grapefruit hoppiness, and it's just, yeah, it's really refreshing. I can pound through this, but at no sip doesn't feel like I'm drinking a beer, despite the
Yeah.
fact that all of my descriptors are saying light and zesty and drinkable and easy and kind of watery feeling. Like, it leaves my palate wet, but it's actually, like I
Mm.
said, it has that viscosity. It has that they haven't leaned too far away from
Almost,
beer, so
yeah.
that you can,
Mhm.
like, the markers are there. It's just really easy to drink, so it's kind of easy to be like, oh yeah, this could be a session thing. Like, no, it couldn't in these specific ways, and that's why it's a beer. Yeah, I'm really enjoying
Hey,
this. Yeah,
it could be a session. It just depends how hard you want to go into that session.
I am classic session, the Imperial
Any
Stout.
beer is a session beer
Yep,
if you think about
agreed.
it.
Yeah, quadruples are my
Depends
favorite
how that
session
session's
beers.
gonna end.
Um, yeah, so
No, that
really
sounds
excellent
good.
beer. I think this is like a quintessential spring beer because it's got some boisterousness to it, but it doesn't betray that. It's, like I said, it's like soft and zesty, with sweetness. So again,
Mhm.
the tartness is like the zestiness, even though it's like strong citrus, is just sweet enough that you're not distracted or you're not pulled away. You're still
Mhm.
encouraged to take bigger sips because even though it has these sort of malty, slightly bitter notes, they're all, like I said, taking the back seat. So you could just, yes.
Yeah.
It sounds excellent there, Ben, in the chat, because it is excellent. Yeah, great. So
Is
that
that an IPA? Is that the style?
yes, it is an
Style
IPA.
again? No, just an IPA.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't get enough uh full circle. Um,
yeah. No, me
or
neither.
in my circles.
He,
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, but I've enjoyed every beer that I've had from. Um, yeah, they have had some really decent IPAs from them. So, and that
mhm.
one's called Looper.
Yeah, Looper.
I
I don't know
never.
why. Maybe they're a big fan
It's
of
based on that film with
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Was it's like Bruce Willis in it?
Yep. Wow. Yeah,
I've never seen that film, so I don't
that's
know
pretty
how
good. I
I
like
know
it.
that. Trivia.
Um,
Okay, nice. It's basically Pocket Watch from Sock Pop. Then maybe I don't know.
sort of. Yeah. If the
Yeah.
goose turned into the dog or something. Spoilers. Um. All right. I just have the one game to talk about this week, so let's
Okay.
barrel through. And in fact, do you think you watched me play a bit of it?
I did, and it was quite hard to watch. I think one of the last streams I watched play was the Size Matters,
Hmm.
and I was just
Like,
enraptured by that, and it was funny and it was brilliant. This one, not so much.
yeah.
And
I
that had
mean,
nothing to do with you, and you made it very entertaining. I'll give you that for considering what the subject matter was. But yeah.
yeah. So this was the Invisible Hand, which is uh sorry, I thought I had Steam open because I was going to read the descriptor, because it's like a um
How,
how do you
it's like
describe this?
like trucking simulator. How like I like to play trucking
Yeah.
simulator, but I'm sure as Well, that's the thing. It's like you hear like army vets playing like Call of Duty, and you hear like dude lorry driving for a living playing simulator. I This feels like a simulation game for boring finance.
Well, I mean, so this is the thing. It's called The Invisible Hand, and it is.
Mhm.
They describe it as want to get rich quick. Welcome to Ferios, where you'll be empowered to pursue wealth and success as a mid-level stockbroker. Your wildest dreams of wealth can come true at the cost of everything else. And one of the tags is satire,
Mm.
and I think satire
Maybe
is a
I'll just.
real tough thing to do in games in a way that most people think is easy. But basically, the game opens with you're in the middle of the market's crashing, everything's going wrong, and like you're inundated with people talking to you and things on the screen indicating things are crashing and phone calls
Mm.
coming in and everything's gone wrong, and then it reintroduces you as like someone who emerged. Basically the company you're with was being naughty, and you emerged kind of unscathed, and you're being interviewed for a new position at this other company. And you spend they're like, you have to take the ethics quiz for in order to satisfy the trades commission, and they're like, to pass you need 80%, but our PR says we should voluntarily only allow a pass to be 100%. And then it gives you a series of like situations of ethical quandaries, but
Yeah.
the bottom option is always the obvious one, and it's always the bottom one.
It's yeah, and this is what maybe I just didn't get if that was satire, but it's literally what it is in every single place that I've worked for. I work in finance. Every single place I work for, always 80%. It's always the most obvious question. It's like, yes, I don't hurl abuse at my colleague. I be nice to them. And it was just too. It was like, this is horrible because I do it so many times in real life.
Yeah,
Playing it in a game just would not be enjoyable, you know?
I mean, and I think they were trying to take the piss in the sense of making it really obvious and always making it the bottom
No,
option.
but they
Like,
are really obvious in real
yeah,
life,
and
so
I think
it
that's
was like there was no satire.
yeah, and then
It was
I
like
mean,
this is what they are.
and then each option you have, there's like a line of dialogue from the person giving the quiz, and they're like, "You better be hurry," and I think that immediately showed me one of the downfalls, which is some of the voice prompts are they read the thing, you hit spacebar, it goes away, and some of them are just on screen and they go away. But because the generic format of the game is essentially when you start trading, you're
Mm-hmm.
staring at one of four screens, and you click to move around the four screens. And at the bottom, you'll get dialogue you overhear. But some of
Mm-hmm.
that is, again, is like someone's talking to you and it's part of the plot or whatever, and you have to hit space to proceed. So you have to acknowledge it, and some of it just goes away, but it's really quick. And that
Mm-hmm.
disconnect, while the whole point of the game is you're being inundated with like a ton of information on your screens, just makes it gives you it's not nice to play because you feel like you're on the back foot in a way I don't think is designed. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
just impractical. So you go through this and you get, and then basically I played 3 or 4 days. That's it. And the essential loop is you start. You're will you be hired? You're like an associate, and you have to outperform this other guy. Troy, I
Mm-hmm.
think his name is, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was auto generated. And I like that it's a first person game. You walk around the trading floor, but really you just walk to your desk in the morning, sit down, trade, get up, go get coffee or
Mm-hmm.
tea, which speeds up or slows down time. Really cool mechanic. Um,
Dude, this game is triggering for me.
yeah. And then at the end of the day, you get up and you leave, and you never go to your home or whatever, even though you can buy stuff for your home, which I think is that's like good satire because your
Yeah, that
life is
is.
your
Yeah.
work, right? But it's not enough, and like it's also just like hammers home how the third person is literally window dressing
Mm-hmm.
because you really are just getting to your desk, except for a couple people you could talk to. Most people there's no way to interact with a lot of objects. You can't talk, and then you're just sitting here. And on day one, this guy who's your pal who got you the interview is like, oh, don't worry, we've got a secret insider trading portal that we'll put on your fourth screen in this communal environment that everyone can see, but don't worry about that. That's not going to factor in. And then
Mhm.
it basically tips on how to make sure you win, you outperform the other guy. Um, and then sometimes, and the next day you go in and it's like, oh, there isn't those tips, so you'll have to fare yourself. And you
Yeah.
can overhear things people are saying inside. You have to like figure out what good tips are because you've got like people who are saying things on one screen, and then the news ticker on the screen that sometimes is the cheating screen, and then you're shorting and longing, long holding stocks, and it tells you
Mm.
quickly what those are. And you can, some things are tied to production, so oil's going down, well then the plastic stocks will go down as well, etc., etc. And like, I also worked in finance. I worked for an investment firm for 6 months in 2003 when I was training to be an economist, and I realized I didn't like
Damn.
this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I feel your
Yeah.
pain. But the gameplay, like, so I've only played an hour and a bit of it, but like, the loop was really straightforward because I basically
Mhm.
beat the first guy, and then like, you've leveled up. Now this is your competition. At the I was an associate, now I'm an agent, or whatever the terms were, right? And then it's like, I outperform them on day one. It's like, okay, so I can see that I can level up the buildings I have because they gave me a free condo. Um,
Well,
but yeah, but like, that'll never go to, but I can lease to people, which I think is part of the
yeah.
satire because you got a free house, but you're just immediately leasing it. I
Yeah.
don't
They
know.
got to pay that rent. They
But
probably,
it
yeah.
just seemed like,
Probably
well,
will.
according to you guys, the loop is essentially for X number of days you have to outperform this person, then you'll get a new person
Mhm.
and outperform them. What is interesting is they hard coded the second time you use the like the secret information,
Mhm.
halfway through the day while you're like watching, you're like waiting to hit the right time to sell, everything just blinks on you, and your buddy who introduced you is like, oh, they got wind of this because I was using lobbyists and people got wind of it and it's all gone to hell, so I shorted, like, I sold the stocks before you lost too much.
Mhm.
And then you found out that like your rating of being, people being wary of your public opinion rating went to half. And so
Okay.
then you get a notion of like, the loop is create as much money, but if you use the lobbyists and the underground, like under the shady stuff, people might find out, and then you might get
Yeah.
like theoretically get fired if your PR level's too low,
Yeah.
which is
Do
interesting.
inside trading as much as you want. The up. Good. Mm.
But what really frustrated me was like,
Yeah.
it's just too simple. Um,
Yeah. That was going to be my question. Like, I know you only played for that, but can you see the strategy there? Do you think because it's got really positive reviews on Steam? Do you think that it is a game which was like you need to dig into the game to really understand its nuanced strategy?
well, I think so. Part of it is that the just like it gives you PTSD or whatever, right? Like, I have no interest in mastering these fake investment mechanics.
Being Wolf of
Um,
Wall Street, yeah.
right, like that's, and if
Mhm.
you're calling yourself satire, you have to give me more. But also, it's a really like, I think, yeah, I think it's really simple in the sense of, even though it didn't do that well, you can watch the VOD. Like, I missed the optimal point of
Sell.
selling, but all like, but like, especially with coffee and tea, it's like, okay, well, I know like the game has told me for my insider tip that the stock will surge at 4.
Mhm.
And it's frustrating because it's not, like, it's too simple, because what would be interesting would be like, oh, they're going to
Mm.
release their financial info at a press conference at 4. um like, give the nuance of how insider trading goes
Yeah.
versus just saying, we know it'll, like, there's some dressing on that, but essentially if you're in the middle of the day you can't read all the things. So then it's like, okay, well, close to 4, I'll just get up, get tea, and slow down time, and then I can really look. Basically, I'm watching the graph, and when
Mhm.
it starts to do this, it might do this a bit, but I'll sell somewhere in that squiggle before it
Mhm.
plummets. Right? That's the
That's the
game.
term for it. It's squiggle.
Yeah. Uh,
Mathematical term.
yeah, I'm an economist. Trust me. In the same way, like, I mean, again, part of it is like streaming and trying to balance looking for things and being entertaining. But yeah, like Ben pointed out, oh yeah, there's definitely a point where you were looking at the chart but distracted and you didn't sell. But like that's the loop. And like you can do that loop fairly by like learning who the good tipsters are, or you can do it unfairly, or probably both, because you can't just do the unfairly. Like I can see, like it seems pretty. The meta loop seems pretty straightforward, which is you can
Mm,
only abuse the insider stuff too much, but you have to still outperform this other person. So you have to learn.
yeah.
Like I'm assuming the next few days I'll have to learn a bit more of like what good tips and bad tips look like. Also, the fact that like they say the tips are based on likes. So then
Okay.
so if something is increasing in likes a bunch, I can invest in that tip knowing it's good. That seems to be the way that the game wants me to learn, but also that's
Mhm.
just not how the market works. Um, and
Well,
like,
well, I would have said you're absolutely right until GameSpot and Dogecoin thing came about, but
yeah, I mean, I guess the other thing is, and I think maybe I'm just expecting too much of this is, you buy in lots of like basically 25k, 75k, 50k, 100k,
Mhm.
250k, like in these arbitrary measures, buy this much stock of whatever, and then like I get that makes the maths simpler, but like you don't
Yes.
put 250. I have 100k in dark roast coffee, and I can't buy more because it needs 250k. It's like, well, that the stock.
Yeah.
If the stock is divisible by 100k, you could buy 200k worth of stock. Like that's and
Maths.
yeah, but like, and I feel like you don't invest chunks of money, you buy chunks of stock, and I think it matters, and it's just a really weird thing to simplify when I think part of it is just like read, like in the end of the day your like little screens say selling right now will net you this much money. So like they're doing the maths in the background. So if I'm buying 100,000 stocks for 100k or whatever, if you just added that little more information, it would just feel a little better. But
Yeah.
that might be just with the fact that I know about the thing and I'm viewing it as a
Yeah,
simulation
yeah, but
rather than
that
a
that
game.
brings me to my next question though. It's like, who's this game? Is it for people who work in finance,
Oh, it's
or is it for?
definitely not.
Yeah. Well, I
I mean, I
can
say that
sort of
because I
guess.
think it's too simple,
But
and like it's,
yeah,
and also so between your like well reaction, right, and then my because it's been years since I've worked in it, so I don't have that visceral reaction, but I have the I get the idea, like same with the idea with lobbyists. It's like, oh yeah, some guy who just joined a firm just has in like 20 lobbyists he can send to Balquador or whatever they called it to lobby
what?
for oil. There's fictional
Oh,
place names. I'm
they're
right.
fiction named for Ecuador.
Yeah. Well, I think it's
Ecuador.
the Balkans and Ecuador
Oh
together.
right.
Yeah. But like that type of thing where it's like you send lobbyists. It's like, look, I think that's actually, yeah, that's pinpointing my problem with it is you're both simultaneously just a cog in the machine, but also very
Yeah.
powerful. And that's like a weird thing to do for stock simulation
Mm,
because on the one hand they're like you got to prove your worth. On the other hand, I can choose to influence the state of oil in the world based on my connections. And you're
yeah.
like, well, no, either I'm just under the thumb of my corporation and having to like earn my keep, which is the like competitive progress bars, or I'm this very influential person, and by having mechanically you do both but also not explaining, like they're having no depth on
Yeah.
either.
Yeah.
If like the first guy I
It
beat
seems
really
poor.
easily because I just
Yeah.
followed the game's. I didn't even follow the game's steps optimally,
Mm,
but there was no way. And then I like walked over and looked over his shoulder on his screens, and he was trading in the millions, and I was trading in the hundreds of thousands. But I beat him on experience, and so I won. And I was like, I don't think this is like. Don't show me that he's a better trader by a factor
mm.
of 10,000 or whatever. Like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it seems like it's caught in between two worlds where it's like it's not quite a deep strategy game, like I don't know, manager when you can get really into the minutia, especially if you can only trade in like these, as you say, very arbitrary amounts. and it doesn't seem like where it's like a light-hearted puzzle game that's got the satire, where it is just like, eh, okay, this is a very bad analogy, but like Say No More, I played that I spoke about weeks ago, where it's
Hmm.
like that is essentially a comedy game, not a strategy game. But it seems like you're trying to lean into that anti-capitalist satire, but on the other hand, you are trying to have this or try to strive for like this realistic stock simulator, and it doesn't like it's like push and pull. It doesn't seem like it's landed somewhere where it's going to find a particular. I don't know who the audience
Yeah,
is. Maybe it seems that it might have found the audience. I just don't know who that is, but
I mean, I think it's
surely the
people who
devil.
want who want to feel like they know about the stock market. If I'm being really rude, like in the sense
Mhm,
of it's got the bare bones notions of what a short sell is,
mhm.
what holding long is, but like you don't buy long except in like that Vin Diesel movie with Giovanni Ribisi. What was it called? Boiler Room, right? Where they were just
I
spitting out
remember
terms, right? Like you
that.
buy a stock and you hold it. That's what being long is. But like you short a stock means something very technical. If you're
Yeah,
not shorting the stock, you're buying it. There's no like even just like the way they use terminology. It's like you're. It's just yeah. It's loose. I guess is the
yeah.
thing.
It doesn't seem like, or it's like we're just taking from these songs, just puzzle, light-hearted puzzle game. As I say, it seems like it's caught between the two. So it's like, yeah, like people who know about stock shares and would they get any enjoyment from? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's an interesting one.
but
Very very bizarre.
I mean, and clearly good. Like a lot of work has been putting into it, but also like, and I think the satire is the like every day someone seems to be fired, and it's put on all the screens, right? And you're like, it's cutthroat, quite like dot dot dot. I get
Yeah,
what you're doing, but again, that's that the heavy-handedness because
yeah.
uh,
I was going to say a good example of where this was done right. It was like in GTA 5, where people got really into the meta game of stocks and shares, and it
right,
was full of satire because that is that game, and there
it
was
was
there
holding
was
over time, especially like
and there was a benefit, a real world benefit. Obviously, this game doesn't have the budget or scope of GTA, but
I mean, but you
essentially, you're buying stocks to get more money to buy a better house and a better car in GTA and stuff. So yeah, yeah. So
so
I
so
think that's it done well. Whereas this,
so I think
yeah,
that's I think that you've reminded me of like the weirdest thing for me, which is so if I was a person who worked as a broker, I would be buying and selling stocks on behalf of people and I
mhm,
would be taking a cut.
yes,
That's the fundamental role of being a broker. And here it's like you got a pot of money, buy and sell and make money. And I don't get calls from customers. I don't have any notion of what I'm like if you look at the game, I just have a pot of money I'm investing in not and I'm making money and it's not clear whether it's the firm giving me a pot of
yeah.
money to just make money
It's
for the
sort of
firm or whether it's
yeah.
a pot of money I have. I do take a cut and I could
Why
probably
would you
have,
be in an office though?
right and
Why
so
would you
like
just
but like
office?
I'm making money at the end of the day for me, but it's not
Yeah,
the game hasn't really telegraphed who it's for and I didn't bother doing the maths of is it a cut. But like that first scene where I'm getting harangued by people saying you what's going on etc means they know what the role of a broker is, but then when the broker role comes up, I'm not doing any of the bro. That's actually what it is. That's the simpleness. I've just figured out. Is like I'm just some dude with a pot of money putting it in stocks, taking it out. But I'm not
you just
playing.
walk to an office and they're like, yeah, have a
But like I'm. If it was day
open
traders
space.
simulator, that would make sense because it's my pot of money and I'm just trying to make more money for me. But this is supposed to be a broker, but the literally the term broker means I am the middle person brokering on behalf of people, and they've cut that entire part out for simplicity.
Mm.
Because
Yeah.
so
You,
actually,
you'd
if you
imagine that you'd get
haven't,
like,
watch Boiler Room, because the whole point of
okay.
that is tricking. It's like a Ponzi scheme type thing. Spoiler alert, but like you can
Mm.
kind of figure out that something shady is going on. The whole point of that is working the customer to invest so that you can take your cut. It's not here in this, but it's this, like, that's where you make your money on trades. But
I
if I
thought they
can
would have had like,
arbitrarily trade as much as I want, theoretically, I could lose all the money that I was given. Like in the real world, if I was a broker who just decided to lose money on all these bets,
not
like
all the time.
I would still be
But
generating income in a different way than the game is portraying. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
but that seems like such an easy problem to fix, where it's just like, I don't know, in House Flipper, where it's like you get an email from, "Can you come clean my house? I'd like to buy stock in dark roast," or whatever it is. It's like,
Yeah, and then
surely
I can
that's
say,
a simple thing.
or I get this tip from the cheating screen, right? And then I go, hey, customer is a whale. I've got a hot tip that we need, like the market's saying this, but it's actually going to go this, and so you
Mm.
need to trust me. I need to give me 200 grand to buy into this stock, and we'll both make money off of this. You'll make way more than me because you're putting the
That'd
money
be
in,
interesting. Yeah,
right? And like,
get that $1 million
right,
trader.
it's, to be honest, that's a way more interesting social political dynamic
Yeah.
than, well, there's a slider that says this time you got caught with sending generic lobbyists. And I guess that's what I mean about like it's so thin, is because I feel like it doesn't, it's nodding to the problems in finance, etc., and it's pointing them out, but these aren't, the nuance is all wrong. And so if you're trying to be a satire and say, oh, this is why the system's broken, this isn't why the system's broken. And that's probably where I'm struggling the most. If it was just like a,
Yeah.
hey, I like this gameplay loop, and yeah, it's not much like stocks, that's okay. But like, you're clearly leaning into the tropes, but also this isn't how this role works fundamentally.
Yeah.
And so that's probably why I'm a little harsher on it. I'm glad we talked about this because I didn't click so much about how, at first I was just like, well, like, where are my customers? But now I know we've talked it out. I'm like, oh,
Mm.
the lack of customers is kind of a big deal, especially when you think about Ponzi schemes, etc., and like people getting tricked out of their money, but the people who trick them not getting held to account, is entirely because I make enough good trades. Even if it ruins you, if the trade was good, I take my cut.
Hmm.
I'm fine. You're not.
Yeah. Because a lot of simulation games, they are very surface level, and they don't go into like the nuances of whatever trade it's evoking
Yeah.
or trying to. Yeah. So, but this one, I just didn't get where it landed on. Are you going for a deep strategy game, which it seems like no? Are you therefore going to for a cleverly put together puzzle game with the like kind of
Satirical.
setting, yes, of you're working in, finance and stocks and shares, which doesn't seem that way either. So it's like it's this weird nebulous outside of the Venn diagram of like
Mm.
who's going to enjoy it and what kind of game it is. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I didn't quite understand it. And it's like I barely understand stocks and shares as it is. Also working for an investment bank
Yeah.
back when, but yeah, didn't
Uh,
understand it then, don't understand it now, and I think this game would teach me.
yeah. I mean, I think
Yeah.
I think I'm clearly not the audience because I'm just not at the informational level they want. But I also think that
Mhm.
if we figured out who that audience was, I don't think that there. I think there's still a mismatch on what the way they're portraying
Mhm.
it versus. So even if there's people who are like, I want this level of analysis presentation, I think there's some fundamental disconnects and in service of maybe gameplay, but also like I said, like having lobbyists on hand but not having customers on hand is a very strange thing
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it misrepresents the idea that stockbrokers are people who work for people who have a lot of money and they make money based on making those people move money. And if you don't
Mhm.
get that and you aren't portraying it that way, then I think it sounds like rich people playing with money to make more money and it's true, but the cog that you're supposed to be is a person who's trying to be a rich person, but anyway, doesn't matter. I'm going to go
Yeah,
on a
yeah,
diatribe. Um,
yeah. It's weird because, as I say, like some simulation games can go deep, but some are just like silly, like House Flipper, and it's like this didn't have enough silliness for me. Where it's like
yeah,
I'm
I
just
think that's it.
excited. Where
The
it's
I think, and that's what I sort of started this chat about, which was um, satire's kind of hard, and like,
it is.
if House Flipper's great because it's not being satirical; it's being humorous,
Yes.
and this is trying to do these like it's a cutthroat thing, or there's these fake ethical things, and like some of that hits up okay, but a lot of it
Mhm.
just seems if it falls flat, then the whole thing falls flat. Um,
Yeah.
it's the danger of sort of taking satire by its horns. But anyway, I think I've whinged enough about it. So those
No,
are
it's an
my thoughts
interesting.
on Inside Invisible Hand. Uh,
I like the name.
yeah, I mean it's a good name. It's
Yeah.
just also not what. Yeah,
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not quite. You'd
yeah,
think there's some like a bit
but
more
also there's a
nuance
glimmer
to
of
it.
something interesting there. And
Hmm.
also, if you
People seem
aren't,
to like it.
hmm?
According to the people seem to like it according to the reviews as well.
Yeah,
As
exactly.
you say, we just may not be. We may be the completely wrong type.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, having both
Yeah.
worked in investment, etc. But yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, let's we're now at 8 o'clock, which is a reasonable chunk of time. So I'm gonna ask you what your favorite beer was, even though I'm pretty sure I know what it was.
Yeah, it was the what is it? Something delight. Red
Ah,
Sky
yes,
at
the
night.
Falling Delight.
Yeah. Red Sky at night. Brewers delight. The BB&O, was it 5? Still got some left in
Yeah,
this for life. Yeah, the 5. It's a really good beer for its money. Um, you're not going to find many good beers of that quality for like under £2. So I do recommend it if you're just looking to supplement your uh weekly shop or your other beer. Definitely recommend it. It's like juicy. It's got enough fruitiness in it. Finish a bit wishy washy, but
I
you
mean,
can't really complain for the
I was just
price.
saying at
Still a
that
good
price,
beer.
I'm like shocked how not that you're hard on beers, but just like you said really good things, and it's such a inexpensive beer.
Yeah, it's
That
good.
it's just like, damn, I'm gonna have to track one of those down. Except I don't go to Marks and Spencers for it.
Yeah, that's the problem. There's never any in Marks and Spencer's. Yeah, but yeah, for that price, you're gonna be hard pressed to find something better. Even something that's like, add an extra quid onto that, still gonna be hard pressed to find something as good as that. But yeah, the 2-0, it's really good. I think the fact that I haven't had a red ale in a lot helps. Um, so even that alone is quite novel and nice.
It, I'm
But
just
yeah,
gonna pause you there. I'm really kind of shocked at how the red ale is. So it's much more common back home in Canada.
yeah.
Um, so like one of the so Molson is the big brewer of Canada. It makes Canadian. It's a garbage piss beer. But they have the Rickards line, which is their pseudo microbrewery. So like 20 years ago, when microbreweries were coming up, they made Rickards, which
Mhm.
they sold across the country, but pretended like it was a competition with your local microbrew. And Rickards Red was by far the most popular and the most
Mhm.
widely seen one. And so like I grew up where it's like, hey, I go to a new town, I can get a Rickards Red. I know that's a decent beer. And I here it's like red ales just aren't a thing in the same way.
Yeah, I think it's more of a traditional style and like, old man's pub on cask. That's what it's like, yes. But yeah, it's not a new and trendy, hip kind of.
Yeah.
It's not a New England IPA basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a shame that I don't see more of this style, and it's like how I kind of lament about saisons recently. It's like don't see them much. Even
Oh, that's such a
we're
shame.
coming up to saison season. Don't see them much. So I don't know what it is, but yeah. So yeah, it's really novel to have one, and it's a good one of those. As I say, it's got that nice red berry fruitiness at the start, and it has a wave of earthiness and bitterness and malty, like a nice malty backbone, but that's not too overstated, and yeah, just really well balanced. And I why don't we ever buy two of each beer? Because I
Yeah,
guess if we don't like,
so this
even if
is
we
this
don't
is
like them, it's like we'll still drink them anyway.
this is the thing that I know when one of us really likes a beer is when we sort of immediately go, I should have bought two, because we're obviously in a position where novelty is part of our biz, right? Um, but yeah, it sort of in inhabits your general beer consumption, where it's like even beers I don't put on the pod, I'm probably gonna buy three, four different ones versus two
Yeah.
and two, right? Like that's just the thing. And then you have this like, oh, this hit me
Hmm.
different. This is exactly what I
Yeah.
wanted. Boy, I wish I had more than one of these.
Yeah.
And you're like, shucks.
Yeah.
Cool.
I said that about Reams from Glass House a
Hmm.
few weeks ago. And I just bought two of them, two
Yeah,
more.
I was gonna say
I need some more of these. Yeah.
the benefit is when there are things much more like this looper, which Full Circle makes isn't a limited run versus say this Northern Monks Cherry Cola Sour
Oh, yeah.
IPA, which is a limited run because it's a Patriot project, and so like it sucks when you hit something like a Patriots project where you're like, oh yes, I love all of the things. I want as many of these as possible, and you're like, oh, I bought the last one from the bottle shop, didn't know, and I'll never see it again. Which is just the
Ah,
give and take.
it was the grape soda IPA
That's
from
right.
Northern Monk I really didn't like.
Yeah, I think they're
Side
not.
note.
I mean, spoiler alert on what I'm about to say. Don't think they're good at soda IPAs. So
Maybe.
I really, really liked this Full Circle Brew Looper IPA.
Mhm.
I haven't had a Full Circle in a long time. It's fucking shite out, but this was a very springy beer, and I loved it. Like I said, it had. I mean, I waxed intellectual enough about it. I think it has all of these really interesting, um, zesty, light, slightly sweet and with a backbone of grapefruit notes while still having a bit of a underlying um maltiness. It's just a very well made beer that still felt like beer, but
Mhm.
like is so inherently springy and just really well crafted.
Yeah.
Is sort of, even though the weather doesn't match it, it's exactly what I want in the spring. It was just really nice, and it only betrayed at 6.4% when I sort of
Mhm. Mhm.
had to think about how light it feels versus how light
Mhm.
it is. And I really commend them on that, because often you're just like, well, it's a little more viscous, or it's not, or it's watery, or it's not, right? I mean, same. And this is actually the I was had to think about it because it's so light in its
Yeah.
touch, but clearly viscous enough. And I like that it's both, because then I don't feel like I'm having a watery beer. I
Yeah.
just have to like pay attention if I care about that. And uh, I really like Northern Monks, and I really like the Patriots Project, but this Cherry Cola Sour IPA,
Not their best.
just it's not what I want.
Yeah.
Like there might be a kind of like the game I talked about, the Invisible Hand. Like there might be an audience for this, but I ain't that audience. Like
Yeah.
it was too flat to feel cola like, and too non beery to feel beery, and
Yeah.
it managed to miss the things that I was hoping would be foregone conclusions. Um, it was interesting. I liked that there was this, like I said, this rooty coliness. So the cola wasn't
Mhm.
like artificial tasting. It was like, oh, you're doing something interesting there. It has a bit of a sweetness and a bit of sweet and sour cherry. I get what they're doing there, but ultimately there wasn't enough beer in it. And it just not what I was looking for. And I knew the risk when I bought it, because it's a
Yeah.
cherry cola
Well,
sour
you know,
IPA. But like the IPA wasn't really there.
Nothing ventured, nothing
Yeah.
gained.
So
Why not?
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not like I'm not going to continue to buy Northern Monks Patriots projects. Yes, sometimes we hit those moments, but like often they knock it out of the park.
Yeah,
And like
absolutely.
I really respect that project because of that. So, cool. Well, um, that's us for the week.
It is.
Yeah. So if you all, sorry, I got distracted by the spam on our Twitch. Uh,
I do want to become famous.
you're already
No,
famous.
I
Look
don't.
at you. You're right there. Famous. Look at that famous woman. Sorry. If you like what you've seen, please follow, like, subscribe, review, rate on whatever platform you're seeing this on, and share it with your friends. We want to reach more of you. If you want to contact us, you can email us at tankedupcast@gmail.com. Tell us why the Invisible Hand is much better than we thought, or that there's some beer out there that we should try, or anything else. You can also tweet us at tankedupcast. You can visit us at outoflives.net and see all kinds of other podcasts, VODs, pop culture articles, etc. You can reach Lucy at JuicyLuce9 on Twitter, Instagram, Untapped, all of the things. You can also reach me at the Omniarch on those things, except Untapped. Don't bother, I don't use it. And you can reach Ben and tell him how much you missed him this week and his more effective hosting.
Adele, you did a fantastic job.
Thanks. At
Wonderful
Nova_47.
Ben who?
Sorry?
Ben who?
Oh, Ben.
Her.
Yeah.
Ben her. Yeah. Charlton.
Yeah, you can be the NRA. He might have died, and the NRA might be in great legal troubles. But we've got our own Ben-Hur. Anyway, so yeah, that's been us for the week. Yes, we've been tanked up. Bye-bye.
Bye.
www.outoflives.net